Okay, Lancaster 11 the League Media Day. Bruce Badgley, Andy Herr, and we're joined here by Ed Berryman for Lampeter Strasburg.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, man. I mean, gosh, getting used to the idea of interviewing you. You know, it's been a couple years here now with LNP or whatever. But talk a little bit about your off season and what are some of the things that you do with your team in the off season to try and make them better for what we're doing now, getting ready for the regular season.
Sure. I mean, mostly we're just playing in different leagues. During in June. So we did this year. We were at the Hempfield League, and then we also went up to what's it called? The Christian school.
Yes, I know.
Yeah,
Linville.
I wanted to say Lidditz. I'm like, it's not Lidditz. So Linville Christian. Yeah. So we we do that. Make sure we try to keep them playing. Usually get like one day in June, like every Tuesday, some of the football players to join us. To do that. So we try to make sure we're playing those games so everybody gets integrated and gets to play together. We do a team camp every year up in Albright also. It's not usually like the third weekend in June. So we've done that probably for the last 8 years or something. And that's a great time, for the kids to do a little bit of communicating and relationship building and those types of things, and then seeing who's working, because you can always tell the kids we're putting in the time. And we've had some guys that really put in the time this year, so we're excited about that.
Yeah, and you touched on the fact of the football team and what have you. Talk a little bit about just overall, the expectations now on LS athletics. I mean, the bar has been raised way up there, obviously from your efforts, the football team, some of the other athletics there. Talk a little bit about how, that whole athletic program and how success feeds success.
Yeah, I mean, there's a nice little competition internally against, with each other, wanting to, get to that next level. And we try to communicate as coaches to make sure that we're at least getting opportunities for, the boys to work multiple sports. I know Victor at footballs, is a proponent of playing multiple sports, so we try to work that in, make sure everybody gets that opportunity. But yeah, I mean, from girls softball's won some state titles, and boys baseball's always been a big, athletic team for LS. So it's just grown over the years, and I think I always tell the story. We didn't have a youth program. I was John Achilles' first youth coach. I was the 6th grade coach when my son was in 6th grade.
Wow!
So that's how I got started, in the program, and we built that basis from there.
Wow.
Well, you talked about how successful you guys have been. I'm just taking a look at your schedule here. This is not for the faint of heart.
No.
Why schedule that way, and why do you think, in the sense of why do you think this team needs to play a schedule like this? Isn't equipped to handle a Muhlenberg with, by the way, just a couple of times state coach of the year as the assistant now.
Right.
CDEs, Hempfield, York, why is this group ready for a slate like that?
Well, we started it last year, working then basically the same schedule, and we just, I think we had a few years where maybe in states we didn't do what we thought we could do, and then maybe we needed to raise the bar in the regular season.
Sure.
So play tougher competition, so you're not maybe overwhelmed by it when you get to that
there's no game
level.
shock when you get to that
Exactly.
postseason level that they've seen those kind of. A lot of it is athletics related to even basketball skill, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that's why we started doing that just a couple of years ago. Plus, I thought I was going to have Ty Burton playing, but
that always helps,
So you know what? We played that same schedule last year, more or less, and we had a good year. I think we were 18-4 in the regular season. So it's great.
I think it was a good year.
So we played, you get experience playing at York High, playing up at Muhlenberg. You were up there for that game. That was a competitive game. So it's good to be, I think, in those types of situations during the season. So like you said, it's not shock when it hits you in the playoffs.
Yeah, right.
Which is our goal every year, is to win the section. That's how we set it up. Because if you win the section, you make leagues,
Correct.
you're probably in a good position then to play in districts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's really our focus, those 3 areas as we're playing the year.
I want to ask you this. Luke Hines is gone, and maybe he wasn't the, sexiest athlete out there who was going to, dunk and do everything like that. But I joked, I think he got like a beanie, t-shirts. If we had pants, he probably got pants for player of the game.
Right.
What's it going to take to replace a Luke Hines who has that sort of impact, who you can always count on him? He's going to be so rock solid.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to replace. Let's be honest. I mean Luke was just a big, solid kid, football player for the most part, but had a soft touch. And I mean we played up at Central Mountain. I think he hit like 5 threes in that game. So it was in that first round of state. So he had that ability. One of our things this year is we've got a little bit more depth than we've had in the past. I know Justin Glicks, he's a bigger kid. He probably does some things similar to Luke, maybe not quite as physical as Luke inside.
Sure.
So yeah, Luke's going to be tough to replace, no doubt about that. But hopefully we can do that with multiple guys. Right now, every day of practice is, guys are competing for opportunities to play.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good position to be in.
Yeah.
What sort of numbers do you want from a rotation perspective to where guys are competing for those minutes? Because there ain't enough to go around as everybody would like.
Yeah. I mean, I think early on we're probably going to be wider. We're going to look at doing some different things, getting up full court pressing. A lot more playing that full court game versus a half court defense. Since we have more bodies that can do that, and we see how things transpire during that time frame, and whittle it down. We played like Peters Township last year. They're running 10 guys in and out of there.
Yeah.
So we saw that, and they didn't lose a lot. And I feel like we have a similar situation this year. We have a lot of guys where we don't lose a lot. But I'm sure at some point too, you got to get down to those 8, 9 guys that are going to get that time. So I think that'll be something that develops during the season.
I want to ask you this too. I'm trying to ask as many coaches as I remember this too. But have you really studied this rule change with the foul reset and like how you think you're going to approach that, or like how much have you really looked at that?
Yeah, it's interesting because I was talking to Gene because he scrimmaged yesterday, and he said they were up like 12-1, and then all of a sudden they were playing, and all of a sudden it was like foul shots as they were making some mistakes and fouling people.
Right.
So I think that's just going to be a learning experience going along. How I look at it too is if we have a situation where we've got 1 foul and we got 2 minutes left, maybe I put in the Dean Smith blue team, that comes out there and then just pressure and get aggressive and see what we can do. Try not to get to that 5th foul. So these are just things I've been pushing around in my head, trying to think, okay, how do we do this?
Yeah, is going to be interesting.
It'll be interesting.
It is interesting. There's a lot of different ways you can go. We talked about it a little bit earlier. I felt that it was going to actually aid, field goal shooting percentages, and Matt Johns was talking about the fact that that's going to actually increase scoring. Most likely by maybe 6-10 points a game.
Yeah,
and that affects that. Overall, that really affects strategy in the game just for that.
It does.
I don't want to say minor rule change, but people think that it's just a minor rule change, but it's going to have a big impact on the game, right?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. I know that. I guess I started that a couple years ago in women's college basketball.
Yeah, I think so.
And I've started watching. I'm a basketball junkie, so I'll watch whatever's on, right. and I'll watch the women's college game and just see what's going on.
Sure.
And so I think it's going to be how does it play out. It's going to come down to how the referees are calling the game. Some of those situations. I mean, we all know there's times where they let you play, and other times they call it tight. So we're all going to have to react and figure that out as the game's going on.
Yeah, very, very interesting. And we touched on it a little bit when you're talking about the playing time or whatever like that. I always marvel with coaches and how through the course of a season and looking at it. I mean, do you have a conscious plan on creating depth for your team? Obviously, it's not only for the team this year, but for the overall good of the program. I'm sure that you have some type of conscious plan on creating that depth so that obviously the following year that the cupboard isn't bare, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're trying to do that. That's why you're bringing up some freshmen that aren't going to play on the freshman team just to get them acclimated to what it's like to be in that JV varsity level, and then make sure that they understand what the effort it takes and to stay there.
Meaningful minutes. I mean,
absolutely.
They're hard to come by, but very important part of I think a program like yours who has consistency of success over and over and year after year, a lot of it has to do with the fact of how you're developing your players, right?
Right, and I'll be honest, a lot of that too starts in the youth program. We've got a good youth program. They teach the kids the right way. And then the kids love it. They get into it. They want to be that player. They get to watch, Ty Burton. They get to watch Chase Smucker. They get to watch, Ben Wirt. Right. Even Luke Hines, and say, yeah, I want to be that guy. And then, they get the bug, and then they want to play. And when you've got numbers, then coming into youth, then obviously some of those are going to filter out, and then you're going to have a core of people that hopefully will be successful.
Good stuff.
No, I'm good.
I'll tell you what, it's always been fun to watch. You know, Muhlenberg will be like at LS this year, so
Yes.
I'm going to have to go to that game there too.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm sure that we'll get around and you know, watch. It is enormous fun for me to you know, watch you coach. I really enjoy how you know, run a game or what have you, and especially the conversations that we've had pre-game or whatever like that.
Yeah, sure.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Listen, thank you
Yeah.
Everett, for everything you do. Thanks for the support.
Yeah.
Coach.
Yeah, the challenge this year in Muhlenberg is we won't have Ben Wirt scoring 35.
Oh,
so.
wow.
Right.
All right.
Who didn't score in the first quarter and still scored 35.
All right. More interviews to come. Thanks.
It was
Thanks,
crazy.
Coach.
Thank you, guys.
You bet.